Welcome to Whisper and Learn channel. In today's video, we'll dive into another engaging story to help you improve your English listening skills while enjoying a relaxing and stress-free experience. Each story is crafted to teach practical vocabulary, enhance your comprehension, and provide meaningful life lessons. So grab your headphones, relax, and let's begin.
The city was alive in a way that only it could be. Vibrant, chaotic, and unyielding. New York's streets pulsed with energy as a kaleidoscope of people weaved their stories together amid blaring horns, the scent of roasted chestnuts from street vendors, and the chatter of countless conversations. Amid this cacophony, Emilia Harper moved through the throng with practiced ease. She had lived in the city for 5 years, and her love-hate relationship with it had settled into a comfortable rhythm. An editor at a mid-sized publishing house, her days were consumed by manuscripts and deadlines. Her solace came in the form of her evening walks through Bryant Park, where she could lose herself among the greenery and the hum of the city's quieter moments. This evening was no different. She clutched a steaming cup of coffee from her favorite corner cafe and walked briskly, the crisp autumn air nipping at her cheeks. The trees had donned their fiery cloaks of red and gold, and leaves crunched underfoot as she crossed the park. But tonight, the usual comfort she found in her routine eluded her. Something about the day had left her feeling adrift, as though she was standing still while the world surged forward. It was then she noticed him. Seated on a park bench, sketchpad in hand, was a man who seemed utterly at odds with the city's restless energy. His head was bent intently over his work, brown curls tumbling into his eyes. His coat was well worn but meticulously cared for, and his hands, strong but slender, moved with the precision of an artist who saw the world in details others overlooked. Curiosity tugged at Emilia. She slowed her pace, hesitating for a moment before sitting down on a bench a short distance away. From this angle, she could just make out the rough lines of a pencil sketch taking shape on his paper, a depiction of the very trees around them. She watched as he added careful shading, bringing the scene to life with deft strokes. For reasons she couldn't quite explain, she spoke. Beautiful work. The man's head snapped up, startled. His green eyes met hers, and for a heartbeat, the world seemed to pause. "Oh," he said, a smile breaking across his face. "Thank you. I didn't realize I had an audience." Emilia smiled back, a little embarrassed by her impulsiveness. "Sorry to interrupt. I couldn't help but notice. It's really lovely." "No need to apologize," he said, setting his pencil down. "I'm Leo, by the way." Emilia, she replied. Do you do this often? Sketch in the park, I mean. He nodded. Whenever I can. There's something grounding about it, don't you think? Finding moments of stillness in all the chaos. She couldn't argue with that. It's why I come here too, though I'm not nearly as productive as you seem to be. They laughed, and what began as a chance encounter quickly unfolded into an unexpected conversation. Leo spoke about his work as a freelance illustrator, the joy he found in capturing fleeting moments on paper. Emilia shared snippets of her life as an editor, the manuscripts she nurtured, and the satisfaction of seeing them transformed into books. Their words flowed easily, weaving a tapestry of shared experiences and dreams. As the minutes turned into an hour, the chill in the air deepened. Emilia glanced at her watch, surprised at how much time had passed. I should probably get going. It's getting late. Leo nodded, though there was a flicker of disappointment in his eyes. Right, of course. He hesitated, then said, I'd love to show you more of my sketches sometime, if you're interested. Emilia felt a warmth rise in her chest. I'd like that, she said, pulling a business card from her bag. Here's my number. As she walked away, she couldn't help but glance back. Leo was watching her, a soft smile on his face, and she felt an unfamiliar flutter of hope. Over the weeks that followed, their lives became intertwined. What began as occasional texts and shared photos of their work evolved into dinners, museum visits, and long walks through the city. Each meeting revealed more of who they were, peeling back the layers of their guarded hearts. Leo's world was one of color and imagination. His sketchbooks filled with scenes of both the mundane and the magical. Emilia, in turn, shared her love of words, introducing him to novels that stirred her soul and passages that lingered in her mind. One evening, as they strolled along the High Line, Emilia turned to him. Why do you sketch? She asked. He considered the question for a moment. I think it's my way of holding on to things, he said. The city moves so fast, and people forget so easily. But when I sketch something, it stays. It becomes part of me. Emilia nodded, understanding more than she could articulate. It's beautiful, Leo, the way you see the world. His gaze softened. You make it easy to see the beauty, Emilia. The words hung in the air, their meaning unspoken but undeniable. In that moment, beneath the glow of the city lights, something shifted between them. As winter settled in, their bond deepened. Snow blanketed the city, muffling its noise and transforming it into a wonderland. Every corner of New York seemed to glisten under the soft white veil, and the air carried a certain magic that only the season could bring. Emilia and Leo embraced the change, spending evenings wandering through snow-draped streets, their laughter rising like warmth against the chill. On Christmas Eve, a particular hush had fallen over the city. The usual frenzy had calmed, replaced by a gentler rhythm of last-minute shoppers and bundled-up families heading home. Emilia returned from work to find Leo waiting outside her building, his cheeks rosy from the cold and a box wrapped in gold paper tucked under his arm. "What's this?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "Patience," he said with a playful grin. "Come with me." He led her to Bryant Park, their familiar haven now transformed into a winter wonderland. Twinkling lights adorned the trees, and an ice skating rink buzzed with laughter and music. They found a quiet bench near the park's edge, where the noise faded into the background and the beauty of the snow-covered landscape took center stage. Leo handed her the box. "Open it." Inside was a sketch, carefully framed and protected under glass. It depicted the park as it was that night, but with a tender twist. In the foreground sat two figures on neighboring benches, their postures relaxed yet connected by an almost invisible thread. The snow-laden trees loomed in the background, their branches rendered in exquisite detail. Emilia's breath caught as she took it in. Tears welled in her eyes, her voice a whisper. "It's perfect. It's us," Leo said simply, "how we began." She reached out to touch his hand, her heart swelling with emotion. "Thank you, Leo, for everything." His gaze met hers, filled with warmth and a quiet intensity. "You've given me everything, Emilia. This is just my way of saying I see you. I'll always see you." Overwhelmed, she leaned in, their lips meeting in a kiss that was soft and full of meaning. It wasn't just a kiss, it was a promise, a shared understanding of the path they had begun to walk together. They stayed there for a long while, the world around them fading into a blur of lights and snow. The cold no longer mattered. They had found warmth in each other. A connection that anchored them amid the ever-changing tides of life. But life, as it often does, had its own plans. In the spring, Leo received an offer to showcase his work in an art gallery. A dream come true. The catch? It was in Paris, and he would need to move there for at least a year. But life, as it often does, had its own plans. In the spring, Leo received an offer to showcase his work in an art gallery. A dream come true. The catch? It was in Paris, and he would need to move there for at least a year. 'But life, as it often does, had its own plans. In the spring, Leo received an offer to showcase his work in an art gallery. A dream come true. The catch? It was in Paris, and he would need to move there for at least a year. When Leo found out, his initial excitement was tempered by the weight of what it meant for their relationship. He spent days rehearsing the conversation in his head, but no amount of preparation made it easier. When he finally told Emilia, they were sitting on her sofa, the early evening light filtering through her apartment window. "I got an offer," Leo began, his voice tinged with both excitement and trepidation. "An art gallery in Paris wants to showcase my work." Emilia's face lit up at first, her genuine happiness for him unmistakable. "Leo, that's incredible. Paris is the dream for any artist." But then she noticed the hesitation in his expression. "What's wrong?" "It's for a year," he said quietly. "I'd have to move there." The weight of his words settled over them like a heavy blanket. Emilia's initial joy was tinged with heartbreak as the reality of the situation sunk in. She reached for his hand, her fingers trembling slightly. "This is everything you've worked for," she said, forcing a smile. "You have to go." Leo's brows furrowed, his voice raw with emotion. "But what about us?" She hesitated, the ache in her chest almost unbearable. She wanted to say something comforting, something that would ease his pain and her own, but the words caught in her throat. Finally, she managed. "We'll figure it out. Long distance, letters, visits. We'll make it work." "Emilia," he said, his voice breaking. "I don't want to lose you." She cupped his face in her hands, her own eyes brimming with unshed tears. "You won't," she whispered. "We'll find our way." That night, they talked for hours, alternating between practical plans and heartfelt confessions. Leo promised to send sketches of Paris, every corner that inspired him. Emilia, in turn, promised to write him letters, long, detailed accounts of her days, so he could feel close even when he was far away. As they lay together, the city buzzing faintly outside, they held on to each other tightly, as if the strength of their embrace could bridge the distance that would soon separate them. The months that followed tested them in ways they hadn't anticipated. Time zones, busy schedules, and the ache of physical distance made their connection both precious and precarious. Yet through it all, they clung to the love that had blossomed so unexpectedly. Leo sent sketches of Paris, its streets, its people, its hidden corners. Emilia responded with letters filled with stories and snippets of her days, her words carrying the warmth of her presence across the ocean. On a particularly difficult evening, Leo called her, his voice filled with longing. "I miss you, Emilia, more than I can say." "I miss you too," she said, her voice breaking. But we're doing this for a reason. Your art, it's worth it. So are you, he replied. You're worth everything. A year passed, and Leo's exhibit was a resounding success. When he returned to New York, it was with a renewed sense of purpose and a heart that had never wavered in its devotion to Emilia. When Leo stepped off the plane at JFK, his heart raced with anticipation. He had thought of this moment countless times, replaying the reunion like a scene from a movie. Emilia was waiting in the arrivals lounge, her face lighting up the moment she spotted him. Without hesitation, they closed the distance between them, her arms wrapping around him as if she would never let go. "You're here," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "I'm here," he replied, holding her tightly. "And I'm not going anywhere." Their reunion was a collision of joy and relief, their love stronger for all they had endured. That evening, they wandered through Bryant Park, retracing the steps of their first encounter. The park was alive with the familiar sounds of the city, yet it felt different, more vivid, more meaningful, as they walked hand in hand. Leo paused near their favorite bench, pulling Emilia close. "You taught me something, you know," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "That love isn't just about the moments you share. It's about the faith you hold when you're apart." Tears glistened in Emilia's eyes as she smiled. "And you taught me that sometimes the best stories are the ones you don't see coming." They sat together on the bench, the world bustling around them. The scent of roasted chestnuts and the distant sound of street musicians filled the air, but their attention was solely on each other. In that moment, their world felt still, their love a quiet, enduring force against the chaos of life. Leo reached into his bag and pulled out a sketchbook. "I want to show you something," he said, flipping to a page he had saved just for her. It was a sketch of the two of them, sitting on this very bench, rendered with the same tender detail he had used a year earlier. Emilia's hand flew to her mouth. "Leo, it's beautiful." "It's us," he said softly. "Our story." Their fingers intertwined as they sat there, letting the city's rhythm carry on around them. They didn't need words. The love they shared spoke volumes, a testament to the strength they had found in each other and the journey they had taken to get here.
Thank you for listening to this story on Whisper and Learn channel. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable today. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that make learning English fun and effective. Let us know in the comments what you think of this story or what topics you'd like to hear next. See you in the next video. Happy learning!